What if I told you attraction isn't just about looks, money, or status? It's about how you make her feel. And one of the most powerful ways to do that is through the right questions. Most guys make a huge mistake. They ask boring, surface level questions like, "How was your day?" or "What do you do for fun?" And while those aren't bad, they don't create any emotional spark. They don't trigger curiosity, excitement, or connection. Here's the truth about female psychology. Emotional stimulation is just as powerful, if not more, than physical attraction. When you ask the right kind of questions, something interesting happens. She starts to open up. She becomes more engaged. And most importantly, she begins associating those positive feelings with you. That's what we mean by turning her on, not in a cheap or superficial way, but in a deep psychological sense. You're activating her emotions, her imagination, and her sense of connection. Think about it like this. A normal conversation is like walking on flat ground. Safe, predictable, forgettable. But the right questions? They're like taking her on an emotional roller coaster, full of curiosity, excitement, and discovery. And here's the best part. You don't need to be a smooth talker or naturally charismatic to do this. You just need to know what to ask and how to ask it. In this video, you're going to learn 6 powerful questions that instantly shift the vibe from casual to captivating. These questions tap into attraction triggers most men completely ignore. So if you've ever felt like conversations with women go nowhere, or you struggle to create that spark, this is exactly what you've been missing. Let's start with the first question. Now here's where things start getting interesting. The first question you want to ask her is, what's something you've always wanted to do but haven't yet? At first glance, it might seem simple, but psychologically, it's incredibly powerful. Why? Because this question pulls her out of the present moment and into her dreams, desires, and imagination. And when a woman starts talking about things she wants to experience, she naturally becomes more emotionally expressive and engaged. Most guys keep conversations stuck in reality, jobs, routines, daily life, but attraction grows when you take her beyond that, into possibility. When she answers this question, pay attention. She might say something like traveling to a certain country, starting a passion project, or even something adventurous like skydiving. Here's your opportunity. Don't just nod and move on. Lean into it. Ask follow-ups like, what's stopping you? How would that make you feel if you did it? What draws you to that specifically? Now, you're not just having a conversation. You're creating an emotional experience. And here's the key insight. When she feels excitement, curiosity, or even a little vulnerability while talking to you, her brain starts linking those emotions to you. That's how attraction quietly builds. Also, this question positions you differently from other guys. Instead of being just another person making small talk, you become someone who understands her inner world. And that's rare. One more tip. When she shares something personal, don't interrupt or try to impress her with your own story right away. Let her speak. Give her space. That alone makes you stand out. All right, now that you've opened the door to her desires, let's move to the next question, which goes even deeper. Now, we're stepping things up. The second question is, what kind of experiences make you feel the most alive? This question is powerful because it taps directly into her emotional peaks. Instead of talking about what she does, you're asking about what she feels. And that's where real attraction lives. See, people are addicted to feelings that make them feel alive, whether it's adventure, creativity, connection, or even a bit of risk. When she starts describing those moments, she's reliving them in her mind. And emotionally, she begins to light up. That's exactly what you want. She might talk about traveling, dancing, late-night conversations, spontaneous plans, or even something deeply personal like helping others or achieving a goal. Whatever it is, this is your chance to connect on a deeper level. Instead of giving a generic response, try this. Relate, but don't compete. For example, if she says she feels alive when she's exploring new places, you could say, "Yeah, there's something about new environments that just changes your energy, like you become a different version of yourself." Notice what's happening? You're not trying to one-up her. You're amplifying the emotion. And here's where the psychology kicks in. When you talk about emotionally rich experiences, Her brain releases feel-good chemicals like dopamine, and again, she starts associating those feelings with you. Also, this question subtly helps you understand her personality. Is she adventurous, creative, deep, social? You're getting insight most guys never even try to discover. One important tip: maintain eye contact and stay present. If you look distracted or uninterested, the moment dies. But if you're fully engaged, she feels it. Now that you've connected with what makes her feel alive, the next question will tap into something even more powerful: her emotional memories. Now we're entering deep emotional territory, and this is where real connection happens. The third question is, what's a moment in your life you wish you could relive? This question is incredibly powerful because it taps into her nostalgia, one of the strongest emotional triggers in human psychology. When she hears this, her mind instantly starts searching through meaningful memories, moments where she felt pure happiness, excitement, love, or even bittersweet emotion. And here's the key: when she begins to describe that moment, she's not just talking about it, she's actually feeling it again. Her tone changes, her expressions soften. She becomes more emotionally open. This is where most guys mess up. They either interrupt, change the topic too quickly, or don't fully engage. Don't do that. Instead, slow down the conversation. Let her sit in that feeling. You can gently guide it with follow-ups like, what made that moment so special? Who were you with? How did it change you? Now you're doing something very few people ever do. You're giving her space to feel understood, and that's incredibly attractive. Here's another subtle psychological effect. When someone shares a meaningful memory with you, it creates a sense of emotional intimacy. It feels personal, almost like a secret being shared, and that builds trust fast. But remember this: don't force the question too early. This works best once there's already some comfort between you. Also, match her energy. If she shares something deep, respond with empathy, not jokes or distractions. Because in that moment, it's not about being impressive, it's about being present. Now that you've connected through her past, the next question will shift things into something playful, exciting, and a little bit flirty. Now we shift the energy from deep and emotional to playful, intriguing, and slightly flirty. The fourth question is, what's something you find secretly attractive in a guy? This question works because it introduces tension, the good kind. It's not overly direct like asking, do you like me? And it's not boring like typical small talk. Instead, it creates a space where she can talk about attraction without feeling pressured. Psychologically, this does two things. First, it gets her thinking about attraction itself. Second, and this is key, it subtly makes her evaluate you in that moment. As she answers, her brain is naturally comparing her preferences with the person sitting in front of her. That's powerful. She might say something unexpected like, I like guys who are calm under pressure, someone who's a little mysterious, a guy who doesn't try too hard to impress. Now here's where most guys mess up. They either try to prove they have those traits or they turn it into a joke. Instead, stay relaxed. A great response would be something like, interesting. That's not what most people say. Simple, curious, confident. This keeps the conversation flowing without making it awkward or try hard. Also, notice the word secretly in the question. That's intentional. It makes the question feel more personal and intriguing, like she's revealing something not everyone knows about her. And when she shares that, it creates a subtle sense of intimacy and trust. One more tip: say it with a slight smile and calm tone. Delivery matters just as much as the words, because you're not just asking a question, you're creating a moment. Now that the vibe is playful and flirty, the next question will take things to a whole new level, where imagination and attraction start blending together. Now this is where things get fun, imaginative, and emotionally charged. The fifth question is, if we were to go on a spontaneous adventure right now, what would we do? This question is incredibly powerful because it pulls her into a shared mental experience with you. Instead of talking about life, you're now inviting her to imagine a moment with you in it. And in female psychology, imagination is a huge driver of attraction. When she starts picturing this scenario, something subtle happens. You're no longer just a guy she's talking to. You become part of an experience she's enjoying in her mind. That's a big shift. She might say something playful like, "We'd probably go on a late-night road trip. Maybe try some crazy street food somewhere. Or just get lost in a new city." Whatever she says, go along with it. Build on her idea. For example, "All right, so we're driving with no destination, music playing. What kind of vibe are we going for?" Now you're co-creating a moment together. And here's the psychology behind it. The brain doesn't fully distinguish between real and vividly imagined experiences. So the emotions she feels in that imagined scenario, fun, excitement, curiosity, start getting linked to you. That's how attraction deepens naturally. Also, this question shows a few attractive traits at once: spontaneity, creativity, and confidence. You're not afraid to step outside normal conversation, and that alone makes you stand out. One important tip: keep it light and playful. Don't overcomplicate it or turn it into something too serious. Let it flow naturally. Now we move to the final question, arguably the most powerful one of all, because it taps into her emotional connection and future vision. Now we arrive at the final and most powerful question. What does a perfect connection feel like to you? This isn't just a question, it's an emotional gateway. By asking this, you're guiding her to describe how she wants to feel in a relationship, not what she wants on paper, but the actual emotional experience. And that's where real attraction is built. She might say things like, "It feels effortless, like we just understand each other. I can be myself without overthinking. There's trust, excitement, and emotional safety." As she explains, something important is happening. She's defining her ideal connection, and subconsciously, she's starting to check whether you fit into that picture. That's the magic of this question. Now, here's how you respond. This part matters just as much as the question itself. Don't jump in with logic or try to impress her. Instead, align with the feeling. For example, "Yeah, that kind of connection is rare. When it's real, you don't have to force anything. It just flows." Simple, calm, genuine. What you're doing here is showing that you understand emotional depth, which is incredibly attractive. Also, this question creates a sense of intimacy very quickly. You're no longer talking about random topics. You're discussing something meaningful, something personal. And when a woman feels emotionally seen and understood, she naturally becomes more drawn to you. One key tip: maintain a relaxed tone. Don't make it feel like an interview or something overly serious. Let it feel like a natural part of the conversation. Because at the end of the day, attraction isn't about saying perfect lines, it's about creating real moments. And with these 6 questions, you're not just making conversation, you're creating an experience she won't forget.